Hi everyone. This is a beautiful room, I just have to add. I've been looking around at the decor all day, so thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's been really great to sit over here and listen to all these stories, and I think any business or product or entertainer or anything always has a good story. So I'll be spending the next 10 minutes or so just telling you a little about my story, where my past, where I am now, and where I plan to be in the future. I guess it's like a lot of people here, and especially this cute little table here, it all starts from a dream. And to be honest, all I wanted to do was to play the drums. It wasn't the best for the parents. I wanted pink hair and I wanted to play the drums. But then I guess if I think about it a little bit more, a defining moment for music for me was my dad had an old acoustic guitar. It was crap. It sat in the corner. It had 2 or 3 strings on it. He'd sit on the couch and he'd play Smoke on the Water, and he would play London Bridge is Falling Down over and over again. And I still have clear visions of his stubby little fingers weaving up and down the fretboard, and I always used to say to him, "Dad, why don't you play something else?" And he's like, "I don't know." And I remember wanting to give that instrument a bit of a voice, and from there I grabbed the guitar and I used to spend, I guess what you could say when you was younger, a bit of therapy, as you'd write in a diary or something like that. That was my thoughts and emotions and feelings pouring out through this guitar that was out of tune and had 2 strings on it. From there, I remember high school, which is a bit of a blur, and to tell you the truth, music wasn't on the radar when I was at school. I failed music, which is a little bit ironic, but I remember my teacher saying, you've got a creative side. I still find the mystery of theory and music to this day. That's why my band know what they're doing and they follow me. I can't, and I have a big respect for people that have that other side, so it's not something I'm very good at. I guess music to me came very late. It wasn't something that, I wasn't in theatre bugs or young talent time. It wasn't really pushed or anything in the family. I didn't come from a musical background, and it wasn't until I was in probably my early 20s that I started to play and share my music with the public. I think everybody has a spark, whether it's maybe seeing someone at a conference or having a heart attack, or something that really just makes you go, hang on a minute. It pushes you off a cliff and it makes you take that step forward. And I think a spark, there's been a few sparks, but I think one of the biggest sparks was I actually had my first gig in Mount Barker, which is very ironic, at a place called the Bobby Dunbar. Does it still exist? I'm not sure.
No, it
Doesn't?
No.
Oh.
It's not an equivalent though.
Okay, we'll chat. I remember it was the Bobby Dunbar. It was a cafe and there was an original scene at the back. I was so nervous. I think my legs were going up and down, but afterwards I remember feeling, wow, like I created this original sound and people liked that. It was a really lightning moment for me where I thought, I want to play original music. That's a moment for me. So from there I was pretty greedy with open mics, anywhere and everywhere that supported original music, because a cover song once was an original song. So I guess that to me is where my passion is with original music. The best spark that really came from me was when my mum was sick. My mum had an aneurysm. She's totally fine now. Catching up for Mother's Day. It's going to be good. Had a roast with her last Tuesday. She's fine. But I think you never know what's around the corner, and life certainly isn't a rehearsal. And it takes something like that to go, we're back to where we started. And from there I travelled around the world and returned, and that was the fuel to, again, skip down the musical path and really give this a go. So from there, I guess you're into a development stage. I call it the vortex. I'm not sure what it's really called, but it is very blurry. And I remember thinking the first thing I need is a product. Whether it's a yogurt or a wine bottle, I need my own business card, and music isn't something that is a product. It's shared, so it's really hard to put a sense of worth on that as well. So I entered a song competition, and it was through Headroom, which are a mental health organisation, which I don't think, unfortunately, financing and the government hasn't supported them, so they're not around anymore. But they wanted a song for a website, and I wrote a happy song with having a hard day and how you can turn that around. So I'm extremely grateful for that opportunity, which enabled me to record my first 3-track demo, which I can't listen to. I sound like a mouse, and you can look back and it's a learning curve. But it gave me a business card. It gave me something to say, here I am, this is what I do. And I got more work through that. Got some exposure on the radio and things like that, which exceeded my expectations. But I wouldn't have been in that situation if it wasn't for that small competition. Through there, I guess it's through a lot of networking, like this, but supporting a lot of original artists in Adelaide, which then grew interstate, which is now growing international as well. You tend to not only see your competition, meet your competition, but you learn from them as well, and you get to engage in some of the support and audiences that they have as well. So a lot of networking is involved. But I also think it's important to find a good mentor. And when I say a mentor, someone that you really look up to professionally but personally as well. There's a lot of successful people out there, but there's a lot of unhappy people out there too. So it's really important to find someone who is the real deal, I guess. And I was honoured to be around people in Adelaide who were extremely grounded and humble, and were still playing music and earning a living out of music in their 60s and 70s. And I remember thinking, wow, I want a long tail. I want a reputation where I don't just crash and burn. I'll use the example as some of the Australian idols, or the shows that are on telly. They have the peak of their performance, and then sometimes you don't hear from them anymore. So I wanted a mentor that was humble and still had a good family life, and was respectful too. And someone once said to me that if you're going to do music or entertaining, you can kiss goodbye to having a house or a marriage or everything that everyone wants out of life. You just have to focus on your music. And I just remember thinking, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. He's an idiot. And I refused to be one of those bitter musicians that didn't make it and looked back and thought, the family life has suffered and financially they're not in a place where they want to be. So from that development stage, I guess you need to find the tools that you need to make a plan. And I'm an independent musician, which means I'm not funded by anyone. I don't have a record label, which is very, very challenging. I'm not going to say it's been easy, but it's certainly been worth it. So I guess you could say I have a crash course in marketing, so knowing who my market is, the different ages. Also managing a band. There's 5 boys in my band. They don't have to say any more. And when you're on the road for 3 weeks and you haven't eaten or slept and showered, that becomes a whole challenge in itself. So being really respectful, and I can honestly say that the people who I work with now are friends, and the real deal, and the bands that make it, or the entertainers or the companies that make it, have to have that sense of respect, and otherwise it's just too hard. I also finance everything that I do, so there are a lot of different opportunities out there for small businesses as well. I was lucky enough to get a few grants through Arts SA, which enabled me to release products and tour around Australia. I'm not sure what's out there for you, but that might be something to investigate. There are some funding opportunities, and it also forces you to get your act together too. That way you can see the plan, and you have to go into that mentality of, even if I don't get funding, this is going to happen.